Okay. Welcome everyone to your course MVP. I'm Danielle Rossi and we're going to design and launch in 1 week. Who's ready to do that? Can I get some thumbs up? Not many people with their cameras on this morning. This morning my time. I guess it's probably afternoon or evening for... There's a thumbs up. I got a thumbs up. Thank you, Christian. I can see your lovely face. Okay, so what we're going to do today, I've taken some feedback. I did deliver this this workshop a few weeks ago, and I've set aside 1 hour to do the teaching, and then we will have time for questions at the end if people have questions. Someone says it's terrifying. Christian, are you terrified? Well, I hope to calm your nerves by the end of this training and give you just the few steps that you need to move forward. How does that sound? Good? All right. Okay, I will drop the link to the handout. It will prompt you to make a copy of it. Let me pop it into the chat. Okay, if someone could click on that link and just make sure that it's the right handout and that it works, it'll ask you to make a copy and then you can open it up and access it. Does that link work? Everyone's a bit quiet today.
It works.
Yay! Thank you so much. That's what I love. All right. Okay, so welcome to the workshop, and this is going to be perfect for you if you're thinking of creating a course, but you might not know how to get started, or maybe you've started and you've gotten a little bit stuck, or perhaps you're a recovering perfectionist like me, or a perfectionist who hasn't started recovering yet. And perhaps you feel overwhelmed by everything that you think you have to do in order to launch a course. Is everyone in the right place? Does anyone identify with any of those feelings?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Let's get you helped today. So whatever the reason, you're in the right place, because today's session I'm going to take you through our MVP course, and it's a method for launching quickly and to make money fast. And we call it this because it goes right against the usual advice you'll hear about how to create, launch, and sell a successful course. In fact, we're going to be taking those things that you perceive as your weaknesses and actually making them into strengths. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? So we're going to be taking those parts of your course that you think are imperfect and making them a valuable bonus to your paying customers. And I'll also be busting a few myths that you could believe are slowing you down or causing you to procrastinate to your own success. Any procrastinators here? Yeah, keeping busy, doing all the things, but not the right things, perhaps. Jessie, yeah, I see you. Okay, so there's just 3 steps to the MVP course framework, and they are: number 1, to define your MVP quickly. So this is step 1 on your handout. Amy says she's having trouble getting the file into Drive. Any suggestions? Has anyone else had some trouble? You might need to log into Google. Let me know if that doesn't help, Amy. Okay, so step 1 is to define it, and quickly, okay? Let's not get stuck on this. Number 2 is to sell it so we can validate that people actually want it. And number 3 is to create it as you deliver it. Okay. So naturally, each step contains some depth and subtleties, which I'm going to go into. But in general, it's just these 3 steps. And after today, you'll be able to accomplish them pretty quickly if you take action, and you'll be able to start making money with your first course. Okay. Anyone excited? Yeah. Hey, Jessie. Okay. So if you're excited, let me know in the chat. If you're a bit nervous, let me know. But we're going to get going no matter what. I'm here for this. I'm here for this ride. Excited. Alvin's excited. Heather, both excited and nervous. Yes, Jessie also. Awesome. Okay, so step 1, when it comes to your first course, some people make the mistake of creating the kitchen sink course. Do you know what I mean by the kitchen sink course? Like everything. A course that tries to solve every problem that your student might have. And it's no wonder when you understand that this lines up with 100% of traditional advice you get from most experts about creating a course. They tell you to build your course and then sell your course in that order. Okay, but what we're going to do is not that, the reverse. So they tell you to make your course as valuable as possible and that you need a lot of content in it. But in reality, no one wants a lot of content. No one's got time for a lot of content these days. And people don't really buy information anymore because you can get hold of pretty much anything you want for free now, thanks to Google and YouTube. So what they really want is a highly focused, quick as possible solution to one of the problems that they currently have. And it's a problem that they'd absolutely pay money to help solve. And it's got to be that problem that's front of mind for them, that they really need to get fixed so that they can keep on with their lives. Okay. So I've made this mistake. The first iteration of my course, Frazzled to Focused, how to manage all the things you have to do as a busy parent, was how on earth are they going to keep enough healthy food in the house so that they're not constantly relying on takeout, getting kids to school with the right equipment, transporting them to and after school activities, finding stuff they need when the house is a mess, paying the bills on time, getting all the laundry done, helping with the kids' homework, being able to turn up at work on time with their head screwed on right. When really what a lot of my clients actually needed help with first was just managing their appointments. And so I did a mini course on digital calendars and they loved it. In fact, Murray Gray, the co-founder of Experiencify, told me about the first course that he and Marisa ever made called Message to Money. It was a course that went through every kind of problem that someone could have as they were building and launching their online business. The branding, the marketing, the paid traffic, the website design, you name it, they covered it in this course. And as a result, it took them months to create it. And even worse, when it came time to sell it, they discovered that nobody really wanted it, mostly because it covered way too much and nobody needed all of that right away. And this is what can happen when you create courses the way that most people teach. So this brings us back to step 1 of our method. And I've mentioned this MVP thing a few times already. Does anyone know what MVP stands for? Let me know in the chat, or you can unmute if you like. MVP.
Minimal valuable product.
Minimum. Again?
Value product.
Value product, yes. That's, most people think it stands for minimum viable product. But what we are teaching here is the minimum valuable product, because it's the absolute minimum amount that you can give someone to get them the result that they're paying for. Okay. And instead of that monster of a course that Murray and Marisa produced, which tried to give students the entire puzzle, what if they just focused on simply delivering one valuable piece of the puzzle? And in fact, that's exactly what they did in a later course called Website ATM. And they picked a very small piece out of the whole website design part of Message to Money, and they turned that into a standalone course that taught one simple thing: how to design a one-page website that can sell your business like gangbusters. And guess what? It did much better than the original course because of how highly focused it was. Okay, so I want you to think, this is step one in the handout. What is the smallest and most focused piece of value that you could provide a student for money? I want you to start thinking about that, okay? Smallest and most focused piece of value that they will be willing to pay for. Okay, not the whole kitchen sink, not solving every problem that they've ever had, just one focused piece of value. Okay, and that's all you need at this point to create your first course. And anything more than that makes things more complicated than they need to be, and that could paralyze you. It could make you feel overwhelmed, which will paralyze you. And anything more than this one focused piece of value can kick your inner perfectionist into gear. So that will paralyze you. Okay, we don't want you paralyzed. We don't want you stuck. We don't want you procrastinating. We want you moving forward and taking action. Okay, the marketplace right now, it doesn't want War and Peace. It doesn't want Encyclopedia Britannica in a course. If anyone remembers what Encyclopedia Britannica is, your market wants the Cliff Notes. They want the quickest way to get a good result. Okay, they want results, not stuff, not information, because they can get that for free. They can get that from Google or YouTube. Okay, the handout, someone wants the handout. Let me copy that again into the chat. Okay, that's going to prompt you to make a copy in Google Docs. Okay. Okay, so some rules of thumb to keep in mind. The minimum valuable amount that you can teach might seem like not much at all. Anyone having that feeling? Like that's not enough to make a course on. But believe me, it'll feel valuable to your customer and they will thank you for making it short and easy to consume. Figuring out what transformation you want to provide in your MVP doesn't have to take a long time. In fact, you should be able to pick something right out of the air. Okay, this is your area of expertise. You can just pick something. Okay, something that people always ask for help from you. And it doesn't matter how small, if people ask about it, it's on their mind and they're probably willing to pay to get your help to solve it. Now, warning, don't try to pick the perfect thing. There's no such thing. And you're probably going to create many courses throughout your career. And some will be a huge success and some won't. And that's just the nature of life. And that's exactly why you should set yourself to try as many ideas as quickly as possible to find out which ones land. Okay, fail fast is a saying that I hear often in the course creation world. Fail fast. Okay, don't take a long time to fail. So just pick something very small that you can solve so you can move to the next step, which is step 2. And so we can validate that idea if people are willing to pay for it. And remember, you know, I'll go back to when I said you might think that this one thing is just too small to make a course on, but you already know the solution to the problem. and it doesn't seem big or difficult to you, because it might be something that you're really good at, or you've already gone through the hard slog of figuring it out, okay? But to your people, it will be transformational. Have you ever had that happen when someone has said to you, how do you do that? Or like, you make it look so easy, and you're like, what are you talking about? Like, everyone knows how to do this. But you know what? Everyone doesn't know how to do everything you know how to do. Like, we're all so different. Okay, so shut that thought down when you say this is not a thing that people will pay for. This is not a big enough thing. I'm going to have to add more and more and more stuff. Because you're the expert. This is easy for you. This is your zone of genius. That's why you think it's small and insignificant. But to the people who have this problem, it's not small and insignificant. Okay, and it can change their life. So, all right, so you'll naturally underestimate this thing, but to them it is valuable. Okay, and so this is what we mean by minimum valuable product. Okay, it's valuable to them. Might not be valuable to you, but it will be when you sell it to them. Okay, so has anyone got questions on this? You can raise your digital hand or put them in the chat. No questions. Okay, we'll move on. Question, how short is short? Well, it's got to solve one problem. A problem that you know how to solve. And you can call it a mini course. You can call it a mastermind. You can call it a workshop. It doesn't have to be some 13-hour-long video lectures, that sort of thing. As long as it solves a problem and you can articulate that, people will pay for it. Okay. So how do we know how to price the course? We're going to get to that. All right. And this is all about testing. Okay. This is about taking action. This is not the last course you're ever going to create. Okay. You want to find out if this works without spending a heap of money, without investing months and months and months of time. We want to just get this out there, find out what your people want, and test it. Okay. And if it doesn't work, then you try something slightly different. You tweak it. You ask them what would actually be helpful. Okay. We're going to get into all of that, but this is not, remember that this is the reverse of the traditional advice about making this perfect course with like a, you know, beautifully gift wrapped and everything, and you're going to present it to people and it's going to be the last time you ever touch it, and all it's going to do is just keep, you know, bringing you in money while you sleep. As if anyone has heard Marisa speak, she says often that you've got to be able to make money while you're awake before you can make money while you sleep. Okay, so this is getting something out there quickly, testing it, and then iterating, making some tweaks where needed so that it becomes better and better each time you do it. Okay. All right, is an ebook. I'm doing an ebook of my course. Is that considered an MVP? An ebook of your course? Well, it could be. Are you selling that for so are you using that as a lead magnet or a funnel into your course? Or who is that? Bernadine, can you tell me a little bit more about that? You can unmute if you can. Yes. Okay. Oh, she's on a phone.
Sorry, I didn't realize you wanted me to unmute. I just
That's okay.
I just woke up and I'm still in bed.
That's okay. So an ebook could be an MVP, but it sounds like it's is it a really long ebook?
It's no, not really long. It's 12. The course is 12 weeks, so there's 12 chapters.
Mhm.
And it's I've put it as an interactive ebook on Kindle. I haven't finished it, so it's kind of meant to be fun and gives a taste of the course, and has some PDF links to draw people into the course. And it is a standalone product, but it's also it leads into the course. So it's kind of, I want the meditation, if people want the meditations and the live events and things like that.
So you've got some coaching or live interactions with the course, have you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I will have. I haven't finished the course yet because I'm doing this bit
That's
first.
okay.
Because
Yeah,
that's
well, you
like,
can certainly put that out there as your MVP and see what happens, and then tweak as you go along. Ask for feedback. Okay. And I'm going to tell you about how to talk to people about your MVP in the next section.
Okay, great. Thanks, Danielle.
Fantastic. Okay, so okay, and CJ, if your course is longer and you don't want to sacrifice it, or maybe making your first course a section 1 of X, that will be the whole thing. Yes. You can release a small portion of your course if you can. That's exactly kind of what I'm saying about don't solve every single problem that they have, or even a lot of problems in one particular area. We're just focusing on one transformation that can get them moving towards the next thing that they want to buy from you. Okay. So step 2. So what I've got in the handout, sorry, for step 1 there is a space that I want you to write. What's the one problem that your ideal client faces that you have a highly focused, quick as possible solution to, that they'd absolutely pay to get your help to solve, and ground it in everyday language that they would use to describe the issue that they're absolutely sick to death of having. Okay, using their language, like everyday language, not airy-fairy kind of jargon that no one really knows what it means, except perhaps experts. Use the language that they would type into Google to try and find this solution at 3 a.m. when they're just, at the end of their tether, worried about this thing. How are they going to get this thing fixed? Use that sort of language, okay? And I want you to decide on this thing quickly, okay? So if you can do it through this workshop, that's great. If you need some time afterwards, that's okay, but don't procrastinate on this. Don't perseverate and think you've got to pick the perfect thing. Okay, remember that this is not the only thing you're going to do. Okay, we're just moving forward so that we know how to do this process, and then you can come back and tweak and iterate. Okay, we're on to step 2, which is sell it. Okay, so this is how we validate there's actual demand for our product, because you can create the most perfectly videoed course presentation that you want, with all of the expert information and handouts and transcripts and audio files and all of that sort of stuff. But if no one wants to buy it, how much of a waste of time is that? And how awful would that be? How crushing would that be that you've spent all of that effort and love and care on creating this great thing? And it may be great, but if no one actually wants it, then there's not much good, is it? Okay, so we need to validate that people want it. Okay, and selling here is the key word. When you're starting out, it's easy to make the mistake of spending weeks and months building the entire thing before you ever even try to sell it, before you ever validate that there's an actual demand for it. It might be something that people would like to get one day. It might be a problem that they have and they just think, oh yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I must get to that. I'd really like to get my photos in order one day, but it might not be compelling enough for them to click that button and purchase when they see your offer. Okay. And that's a recipe for disaster, in our opinion, because we've made that mistake before. Me and Murray and Marisa and lots of other course creators out there have made that mistake of spending all the time in the world creating this thing that we think is perfect, but not many people actually want it. Okay. So in our opinion, you shouldn't create anything until you know whether people, whether you have people who are willing to actually pay for it. Okay. And how do you know if people are willing to pay for something? Does anyone know?
They buy it.
They buy it. Sounds obvious, doesn't it? Because people are always going to tell you what you want to hear, like particularly your friends or your family. If you say, hey, I just made this great course, would you take a look at it? Let me know what you think. They say, yeah, fantastic, well done. Okay, but have they paid for it? So their opinion isn't really one that you really need to listen to. Yeah, it's a bit of an ego boost, makes you feel good. Someone's giving you a little bit of praise, but it's not a valid course until someone has actually paid for it. Okay. People usually aren't mean to you. They're not jerks on purpose, particularly people that you're letting know that you've just spent all this time creating something. They're not going to tell you, you know what? I don't think so. Not many people do that anyway. But things get real when you ask them if they'd like to buy it. That's when the truth comes out. Okay. So that's why you absolutely do not want to be months down the road of creating a course when you discover that it's not something people want, or they don't even understand what it is because you're using language to describe it that is kind of, it's airy-fairy. Do people know what I mean by that? That it's like up in the clouds. It's not grounded in the actual problem and how they describe what they want to happen. Okay. Instead, you just want to be days into the process of doing your MVP. And ideally, you'll pick an MVP idea today and we'll get started and you'll begin telling people about it immediately. How does that sound? Okay. And how do you do that? Some people are a little hesitant about telling people about things that they're doing, especially if it's something that they might be doing, on the side of, their usual job or their usual career. But we want to just do this in the easiest and the most natural way possible, just by talking to people like a normal human, not a salesperson. And this can be either in person or online. And you simply talk to them about the idea that you have for this MVP with no sales pitch. You're not trying to sell this thing to them. You're just having a conversation to start with. Okay. And this is what we call minimum viable marketing. And it costs nothing, which is critical at this stage because you haven't made any money yet. And you're just validating whether this is a good idea. And at this stage, you want to quickly understand if what you are thinking of is even worth creating. Maybe it's not. And if it's not, you can quickly pivot to a different idea or a slight tweaking of the idea until you've found something that lands. And a lot of times people don't want to do this. And instead they create their course in advance and then they spend months or years trying to sell it. Or they waste thousands of dollars running paid traffic to their course sales page, only to discover that they have the wrong idea when they get no sales or very few sales. And I don't want this to happen to you. It's heart crushing, really, when you've invested that much time, energy, and even money sometimes. I've I've talked to a lot of course creators who have done running paid ads to things that they've already created. They've basically wrapped it up and said, right, my course is ready. It's off. Let's sell it. And they haven't even spoken to more than a couple of people about it. Okay. So Maurice's version of the minimum viable marketing is called the Chatterbox campaign. And it's the perfect approach to launching your MVP because it's fast and it's easy and it doesn't require any tech or extra resources or any money. And it can be done without a fancy marketing funnel, without a web page, without email sequences, just your mouth. Okay. All right. So what is the Chatterbox campaign? Okay, basically, chatterboxing is about deliberately and consistently talking about your MVP in one-on-one or group situations, wherever you can, to find qualified leads or referrals who you can then invite into a conversation where you will pitch your MVP. Okay, the first step is just chatting. All right, you're not a salesperson in this first step. The selling comes after you find out if they're a qualified lead, okay? And a core belief that we have is that your ideal customers could be anywhere and they're everywhere. And you never know when you're going to meet someone who could change your life and your business forever. Okay, and that's why we want you to stay open to all the encounters that happen in your everyday life, because every single moment and every single interaction is a unique and irreplaceable opportunity for connection, growth, and transformation with a possible ideal client. Okay. Marisa had a client named Doug Hanson who landed a multiple six-figure contract from a man he met and inspired on a plane. Okay. How many times have you sat down on a plane? Maybe not many recently. I mean, the world is kind of opening up again. I've already been on a plane, but how many times have you sat down on a plane next to someone or on a train or a bus or whatever, and you're tired and you don't want to get into a conversation and you just head down in a book or on your phone or something, and you haven't even said a word to them. And the truth is that you don't know who that person is or who they know. And sometimes really successful or connected people don't look the part when they're traveling, or they're just out doing their groceries or whatever, putting their car in for service, especially when you're just in everyday situations. Okay. And you can't judge a book by its cover, and the sum total of all of these small interactions that you have with people, whether they're chance encounters or whether they're people that you know or someone that you are referred to, or a strategic meeting, these people create your audience. Okay. And now you may be thinking, what? I got to start talking to people. I don't even know that many people. Okay. Just hear me out. Okay. Because a lot of people have this resistance. They don't want to talk about it because they feel like it might not be fully formed in their head yet. And they don't even have it created. So why would I be talking about this? But let me tell you that these conversations are gold. And I want you to start talking today to people, even if it's just your partner, even if it's just your kid or your parent or your neighbor or someone that you meet at the school pickup line. The pickup, that's pickup line. That doesn't sound right. When you go pick your kids up from school, that's what I mean. So you might be thinking, I'm not 100% ready, or I don't have this idea perfectly formed yet, but that doesn't matter. Okay. I want you to know that this feeling is pretty normal. I've had this feeling a lot, but once you start, do dogs count? Dogs absolutely count. Cats, hamsters, anything. And I actually mention your dog a bit later on, I think, in the handout. Funny you say that, because the more times that you say this out loud, even if it's just to your favorite fluffy pet or fluffy toy, you saying out loud actually gets the words clear in your mind, and you can sound more and more natural about it. Okay, so practice, practice, practice. Okay, so I want you to push through any resistance and fear you have about this and be willing to give it a try, even if it's just to your dog. Okay. All right, I've got some more, I'm aware of the time, and I've got some more examples of people who have done this. I might just, okay, so there's, I'm just reading here, there's a Facebook screenshot of someone who was, it's Hisham Rifes. He says, I didn't believe it until I tried, and everything unfolded in its place. Doors of opportunities are being opened for me, and a bright path lies before me. I'm on my way to $500,000, and who knows, maybe more, thanks to Marisa Murgatroyd. Chatterboxing, hashtag chatterboxing. He described what happened when he simply began talking about his MVP. And it can be really like, you're like, what? That's it? That's your strategy? But don't knock it until you try it, because you'd be surprised who people are, who they know, who they might say, oh my goodness, my sister's cousin's friend's neighbor would be interested in that. Okay, and it happens all the time when you sound like a normal human and you don't sound like a salesperson. Okay. All right. Okay, every time this approach is suggested, this chatterboxing approach, which they actually use in Marisa Murgatroyd's Experience Product Masterclass, if you've heard of that, chatterboxing is the first kind of marketing that they teach. Almost everyone resists because, one, they think it can't be that easy. Two, they think they don't know anyone. Three, they don't think it's going to work for them, even though they've heard of the stories of it working for other people. Four, they don't like talking to people. Who doesn't like talking to people? Anyone? Has anyone gone into the online business world because they don't really like talking to real people? Well, and there's a million other reasons why people resist this idea. But in all cases, if you actually are able to push through that resistance, you will see huge, mega valuable results. Okay, either you make sales, or you find out that your MVP isn't really the right idea. Okay, and you're able to quickly pivot to something more promising. And it's a rapid iterative process which you can deliver a winning MVP idea in as little as a week if you actually talk to people. Okay, I've got another example here of, I don't know if I should, do you guys want to see screenshots of like testimonials and people doing this? Yeah, chatterboxing is selling by chat. Yes, please. Okay, let me just find my screenshot. Sorry about this. I should have prepared earlier, shouldn't I? Okay. Yes, please. Yes, please. All right. Bear with me while I get the right buttons. Okay. Share screen. Oh. Okay. Can you see that? Thumbs up if you can see. All right. So this is Christina before she tried chatterboxing. Panic. Okay, I just finished the video for chatterboxing and I'm literally panicking and my ego keeps saying, just give up, but I don't want to. This is what is happening. And then she goes on to give a bunch of reasons why chatterboxing can't work for her, including living in an isolated area, hating social media, not knowing how to talk to people. Let me see. Oops, I've gone it off screen, haven't I? Not knowing how to engage with people, all those things. And then her after post is, yay, after all the encouraging replies I had yesterday, thank you. Here I am today, totally in for the Chatterbox campaign. Marisa, I made it. I created my spreadsheet. I found not only 10 per week, but 10 people I'm going to email per day next week. Can you believe it? Haha. I also created a sequence of emails. If they say yes, if they say no, transition phrases for conversations, etc. I am nervous, but so thrilled to step out of my comfort zone and do this important step for my business and my life. I can do this. Hashtag Mission Possible. Thank you to all of you for supporting and encouraging, for your encouraging words. Okay, so I would encourage you also, if you want, if this sort of I would encourage you to get encouragement. If you don't have that in your real life from people, to use the Experienceify Facebook group to let us know that you're actually going to start chatterboxing, because we will cheer you on. Okay, because this is how you make a difference in testing, validating that your MVP is something that people want. Okay, I'll get on more into the next steps of this strategy, because so far all we've done is really decide on a topic, and we're starting to tell people about it, just people that we bump into in our ordinary lives, but there's even more that we can do. Okay. Okay. So for every MVP that you want to test, every idea that you want to test, I want you to commit to having at least 30 qualified conversations about it. Okay. And the reason for this is that naturally, not every conversation is going to be with someone. So not every person that you actually talk to is going to be a person who's interested in this solution. Okay. But they may know someone who is. So that won't turn into a sale necessarily when you talk to that first person, but we want to speak to about 30 people who are qualified leads. Okay, and so that means if we want 30 qualified leads, people for whom this problem is something front of mind for them, we then want to talk to around 100 or 150 people to actually get those numbers down to 30 qualified. Okay, so I've got on your worksheet there a space in step 2 for you to brainstorm a list of 100 people who you already know. It could be in real life, it could be friends, it could be family, it could be colleagues, it could be ex-colleagues, it could be people you went to school with that you're still friends on Facebook with, anything. People that you have their, you can either bump into them, you have their phone number, or you have their email address, or your contacts on social media, some way of contacting them. I want you to brainstorm 100 people. And don't start censoring yourself. Don't start filtering out, oh, they wouldn't be interested, because remember, you don't know who they know. Okay. And their spouse or neighbor or friend's mother's sister's dog might know someone who has that exact problem that you can help with. Okay. So today, I would love you to just brainstorm. And a brainstorm is like when you just let it out of your head, or you go through your contact list and you just write them down. Don't filter or censor it. Okay, so then you have a list of people that you can start talking to. Okay, someone else is asking for the notes. I'll just pop that in the chat. Catherine. There, oh, sorry, Michael, I sent that to you privately. Okay, Catherine, there's the link to the handout. It will prompt you to make a copy in your Google Docs account. Okay. So for chatterboxing, you need to solve a problem that nearly everybody has. No, not at all. But you can talk to everyone about this idea that you're having. Okay. It certainly is not going to be a problem that everyone has, unless you're an expert in that particular field. Okay. You're going to choose an idea that a topic that you have the solution to and that you can easily help someone with, okay? A focused problem, okay? And you're just going to start talking to people like a normal human. And I'm going to give you some scripts here or some conversation starters, so to make that a bit easier for those who don't like talking to people, like I didn't used to like talking to people at all. So that would hopefully make you feel a little bit less nervous about it. Okay, so sorry, I was going through, you need at least 100, 150 people to actually chat about this, to actually mention it. From that, you're going to find at least 30 qualified conversations about this. These are people who actually have this problem or may be interested. And then from that, the numbers suggest that you're going to get at least 3 sales. If you have 30 conversations with a qualified lead, you're going to probably get 3 sales from that. Okay, and that is enough to validate your product's idea. And do you know why I say 3? Does anyone know why 3 is the magic number? Why it's not 1 or 2 or 50? 50 would be great, but we're not expecting 50 first off. Okay. Okay, well, I'll tell you, the 3 is because 1 sale could be luck, 2 sales could be a fluke, and 3 sales will prove that it's actually an idea. It's an idea that someone wants to pay for. Okay. And I'm going to give you 6 ways to find people to talk to. Okay. So you can just talk to people in your everyday life that you know. So chances are you already have people in your world who might be perfect for your product, but not everyone is. You can take a look through your address book, your friends list on Facebook, your connections in LinkedIn, your high school and college yearbooks, your colleagues list at work, if you have an existing job, or past colleagues, members of your sporting and recreation groups, family, friends, relatives, and spend some time thinking through all the connections you already have. And you'll be amazed by people you have in your circle, in your current world, who might be a prospect or who might know someone who has this problem. And your goal here is to come up with an extensive list of potential prospects from the people you already know. Okay. And you're just going to reach out and ask them what they're up to, just like a normal human. Hey, what's been happening? It's been a long time no see, or something like that. And in turn, you're going to tell them what you're up to. And what you're up to right now is this idea. You've got an idea for a course, okay, or whatever other product that you want to create, okay? And you're helping people in whatever niche, industry, etc. And you're going to give them a broad definition of the problem that you help them with. Okay. And if someone expresses some interest or asks for more information, that's a sign that you can have a qualified conversation with them. Okay. If they just go, oh, great, and then on to the next topic, they haven't shown any interest in that whatsoever, and you can just continue the conversation like a normal person. Okay, talk about the kids or the cat or the holiday you last had or your gammy knee or your whatever thing is happening in your world right now. Okay, and just maintain that connection, just like a normal human. Okay. But if they express interest, then you can move into talking in more detail about what sort of thing you're thinking of helping people like that with. Okay. Number 2 area, so that was people just in that you already know. Social media. Okay. On social media, you could simply put a post on your profile and your news feed about a topic that's relevant to the core solution you provide, like a meme or a funny photo, or share something that you've seen that's about that particular problem. Okay. For example, if you help parents with teenagers to have a better relationship with their kids, you might simply post asking, who here is a parent of a teenager? And then whoever answers, then you can chat with them. Just see what they're up to and what sort of things are troubling them right now. Okay, simple as that. And I see a lot of people do that. A lot of people in my Facebook and Instagram world do that. Okay, are there any Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups that contain large numbers of the people who would be your ideal prospect? Or perhaps there's an industry or an interest-specific online forum or a network where those sorts of people gather. And you want to not only know what those groups are, but also to find ways to join those groups and to become a little bit known and liked and trusted in those communities. So you could jump in and you could start answering questions, or you could just join in the comments in some way so that you're in there and you're hearing the sorts of things that they're talking about, to see if that idea that you have is something that those people are even worried about. Okay. And you can find these groups by searching, Google search, or searching in Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups for names that might be relevant to your topic. And the goal is to locate at least 10 online groups or forums or networks where your audience might be hanging out. Okay, join as many as you can today, tonight, tomorrow. Okay, and keep joining them as you're creating your product, because the more you can hear the language that these people use around their problem and what they want to solve, what they want help with, the better you're going to get at talking to them about it in a way that lands. Okay. But don't forget that each group kind of has their own rules and etiquette, and you don't want to be jumping in there with a sales pitch or anything like that, because that's really sleazy. If anyone, has anyone been in a group where people are just pitching all the time, trying to help, but not in a really nice way? It's not good. So make sure that you behave in the way that that group expects. Okay. Number 3 way to find people is at events or conferences or gatherings. And this is for those sorts of people that are the people who might be looking for a solution to the problem that you're solving. Okay, and you're looking for piles of needles gathered together, not a one-off needle in a massive haystack. Okay, so don't go to don't look for events where there might be one person or two people that are going to be your ideal client. You want to go where those sorts of people are hanging out. Okay, and I've got a list here of places that where you could possibly find your prospects gathering in groups. Industry conferences that happen each year or each quarter, association meetings, gatherings, events, awards presentations, certificate trainings, talks by well-known experts and speakers in that area of interest, social functions, charity dinners, exhibitions and trade shows, meetups and support groups. So look out, like keep your feelers out there for all of those sorts of things in community papers, on your Facebook feed. There's always, you can look through events and things like that. Just keep your eyes open, because I'm sure there are more things happening than you realize where those sorts of people will be gathered together. And then the 4th idea where to find people to chat to is everyday life. Okay, at the dog park, at school drop-off, while you're shopping, at the hair salon, while you're waiting at the car wash or on the plane or some sort of other transport. There's really no limit to the opportunities of chatterboxing once you adopt the core belief that your ideal customer could be anywhere and everywhere. Okay, and always show up fully in every interaction, asking the question, so what do you do? Or what's been happening? What's new? And you know what? You've got an answer. Instead of saying, oh yeah, nothing much, or talking about something else altogether, you can say, I've been thinking about this thing. Or, I've got this exciting thing this project that I'm and you can introduce that idea. Okay, so when people ask you, what do you do, or what's happening, or what's new, you've got an answer for them. Okay, because even though the person you're speaking to might not be your target customer, they may know your target customer. Okay, and so by chatting with them, you're more likely to get that referral, because now they know what you do and how you can help people. And that's when their brother or their workmate or their friend might pop into their mind as someone that they can refer to you. Okay, and I've got another example here. I don't know if I can pop this on screen. Let me see. Okay, sorry, share screen. Share screen. Okay. Oops. Let me just, I'm hoping that that's readable for you. Is that readable? Is it of a correct side? Yeah, I've got a head nod there. Okay, so Ellen Wolski-Hartson says, so I've posted here already about my struggle with Chatterbox, but I just had an amazing experience. I ordered postcards from Vistaprint to help me with my Chatterbox, and they have a picture of a woman kissing a frog with the headline, "Why do I keep kissing frogs?" I had to call because I was having difficulty with my order, and I Chatterboxed to the female phone rep, who said she had several friends who could use my help just from seeing her postcard in her own job. Okay, and that she would give them my link to be notified when the registration opens for the course. This really helped me with my mindset. So there are people everywhere, and you never know when something that you're doing is going to resonate with them. Okay, take encouragement from that. Okay, and idea number, what am I up to? 5, I think. Are people having trouble with the Google handout? You might need to sign into Google to get it. Okay, is it saying to sign into Google? It'll prompt you to make a copy, and then you just click on make a copy. Let me know if you're still having problems. Okay, so I think I'm up to idea number 5, where to find people. I'm coming up to an hour, so I've got to kind of go through this more quickly to get to our question time. But think about other interests, hobbies, and commitments that your ideal client might have. Not actually in the area of their problem, but what do this type of people do, like in their spare time, or what sorts of things are they interested in, or where do they shop, or what sort of brands do they like, that sort of thing. Okay, and I want you to think outside the box, because this might mean looking at places that aren't directly linked to your topic or your niche. For example, you might want to reach women lawyers, but you may discover that many people in that market are also yoga enthusiasts, or they love going to art exhibition openings or buying art. And this gives you clues as to other places they may be hanging out where you could possibly engage with them and start chatterboxing. Okay, I hope that sparks some ideas for you. And idea number 6, what are your ideal clients doing just before they're likely to buy this thing from you? Okay, what sort of thing, where are they hanging out? For example, if you help people to run their first marathon, what are some of the other steps on their journey? They may be buying running shoes, or joining a running group, or seeing a physiotherapist for a sports injury, or investing in mindset or success training. These are all clues as to the types of online groups, events, and situations that they may be hanging out in. Okay, so that's the first stage of chatting. We need to be doing it consistently, okay, with everyone around you, and to see if either they or someone that they know is a potential customer. And once you find someone who's in your target market, so we're going from the large group of just everyone starting with 100 people that you already know, and then talking to everyone that you meet about this in a natural human to human way, not salesperson, not buy my stuff kind of way, just a normal chat about this is what I'm up to. So that's the big group. Then once we find someone who's in our target market, this is the 30 qualified conversations that we want to have. You want to shift them from the chat stage to the conversation stage. Okay, and the conversation stage is where you invite them to catch up for a conversation to talk about the issue that they have. It's an issue, it's a challenge, any questions they might have, you might want to pick their brain about the things that are happening for them in that area. And you want that time to be as soon as possible in the future after you're talking to them, okay? It can happen right then and there, which is perfect, okay? But usually you make a time to talk, and ideally that's going to be in the next 3 days and definitely within a week, okay? You don't want to leave the time between initial contact and this conversation to be too long, because otherwise they'll lose interest. Too many things can get in the way, okay? So on the spot where you are, you might invite them, like if you meet someone in the dog park or in the hair salon or something like that, say, I was just on my way to get a coffee. I'll come and I'll buy you a cup. And I'd love to hear about what's happening for you. I'd love to hear what you think about this idea I have. Okay. Or I'm parked down the road. Will you walk with me and we can have a chat along the way about this? Okay. It's just a normal human to human thing. And you're getting them as they're there in the moment when they have expressed interest in this topic. Okay. Or I've got some time tomorrow at lunchtime or this afternoon after I pick up the kids. I'll give you a call, and you get their number right then and there, or you exchange social media contacts. Okay. Or you've got your phone with you and you open up your calendar and you find a time that suits both of you. Okay. And for a call or a meetup, chat, coffee, something like that, so that you can find out a bit more about what's happening for them. And the outcome that you're aiming for in this conversation is to get to the next stage, which is closing the sale. And you're going to enroll them into your course and you're going to take their money. And you might be thinking, oh my goodness, but I haven't even created it yet. Okay. You're saying, I'm selling something that doesn't even exist yet. Okay. But the fact is that this sort of thing happens all the time. You know, like if you subscribe to a newspaper or a magazine or something like that, it hasn't been created yet. You're paying in advance, or you're paying in advance for a subscription to something. You haven't got it yet. Okay, and so you may be thinking, oh, this is a bit deceptive that I'm asking them for money when I haven't even created, this thing doesn't exist. But the fact is you shouldn't try and hide this. It's not deceptive. Instead, this can be seen as a selling point for your course. And it's actually a massive positive thing. And it has a perceived value if you frame it like this. And I think I'm going to put this in the chat. Last time I delivered this, people wanted this in the chat. Okay, so this is a kind of a script. If you frame it like this, people will see that this is a huge positive that you haven't even created this thing yet. I'm glad that my MVP idea sounds good and that you want to join. And you have great timing too, because I'm going to be creating it live in partnership with you. That way I can answer any questions you have in real time and make sure that I'm delivering the most amount of value to you possible. In other words, this is going to be unlike any other course you've ever experienced, because you're going to get my full support, my full attention throughout the entire process to virtually guarantee your success. And if you join the course later on, it's probably going to be pre-recorded. So this is definitely the right time to join. Okay, I'm going to put that in the chat. You can copy that or save the chat at the end. But this is positioning the fact that the course hasn't yet been created as a huge benefit to them, because they are going to get basically, you know, a concierge approach to it. It's going to be so crafted to the exact issues that they have. And I think you probably agree that this sounds quite valuable. Does that sound valuable to anyone else? That you get, you know, the personal attention of the expert. And it's a great reason to buy now rather than later when the videography is polished, etc. Okay, yes, fantastic. People are agreeing. So now the next thing is the price. Someone asked about this earlier, the price. Okay, I've got, do you see that there's one line there on the handout on page 2? What is the price of your MVP? Don't overthink it. It's not a forever choice. You can change it. You can adjust the price at the next iteration of this. Okay, so don't overthink it. And resist the urge to offer your MVP for free. Okay, you may want to discount the price from what you think you will eventually sell it for if you want, but other people actually do the reverse. They actually charge more for the first version because of the amount of attention, personalization that goes into it. Okay, but most people who get something for free, they don't value it, they won't prioritize it, and they probably won't follow through by participating fully or even give you the feedback that you're really needing to know whether this is something that real buyers will want. Okay, so you can give your course away for free and you're not really testing whether someone's going to pay for it or not. Okay, it's not a true test. Okay, and so while we're talking about money, I don't want you to overthink this. You don't need complicated tech to take payments. Just make it as simple as possible. You can take their credit card while on a call with them and type it into a PayPal form. Okay, you don't need a fancy funnel. You don't need anything complicated for your MVP. Okay, and you can think about automating the whole process later once you have a proven product that people are willing to pay for. And nothing should get in the way of you just starting. Okay, so don't start Googling how I build a funnel and all the tech and the website and the landing page and the email service provider and the this, that, and the other. Okay, all you need is a way to take a credit card, and most people have PayPal. All right, or then you might have another just as easy solution, but don't overthink it. Okay, you don't need to pay for huge tech stacks of things that are going to automate this. We're not talking about thousands of people. We're probably realistically talking about 3 people right now. Okay, so you don't need anything automated. Okay, so now we're on to step 3, which is the very last thing on the handout, which is delivering your MVP. Okay, so you've actually sold it. You've been talking about it to everyone. You've found 30 qualified people to actually have a conversation with about it, find out more if they're interested, and you're going to get at least 3 people who will buy it from you because you're going to explain to them this absolutely fantastic opportunity of being part of the process of creating it when they get all of this personalized attention. And now we're going to deliver it. So set a specific time or a series of times if it's going to be, you know, multiple live deliveries of sessions, a specific time, like an actual date on a calendar, and then you show up and you deliver it live online during that time. And having a specific date or possible dates in mind, you might have 3 possible dates if it's one workshop or something like that. But don't just say it's going to happen in December or it's going to happen in sometime next year, because if you've got a specific date or a couple of dates, it's easier to get a commitment from someone to do it. Okay, and it feels more concrete and it's not an airy-fairy idea that might never eventuate Okay, no one's really going to want to commit to something unless they know you very well, to something that doesn't even have a date. Okay, so just pick one, something that suits you. Okay, and that can go into your conversation with that qualified lead about it. Okay, and live delivery is absolutely the fastest way to create a new course for 2 reasons. Okay, the first is that the procrastinators amongst us will know that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. Okay, so if you have a specific deadline, a date that you've told people about, or a series of times, you're going to have to show up and deliver it, and there's no excuses, right? Do deadlines make other people take action? Yeah. Okay. And the second is that it's much faster to record something when you deliver it live than if you try to pre-record it alone on your computer. Because when you're delivering it live, for the most part, you just roll with whatever happens, the mistakes. You've seen me today stumble and make errors. I just have to roll with it. This is live. Okay. Does anyone hate me for that? No? Okay. But if you're stuck alone in your office and you've just got your computer, you'll reshoot it, you'll redo it, you'll do another take. Oh, I don't like how I looked in that one. I stumbled over that word, and it can be a form of procrastination. Okay. You don't need to edit it. You don't need to reshoot it. But when you're recording on your own time without an audience, you're much likely to try and do a perfect delivery. So don't do that. Deliver it live. Okay. And people are so much more willing to, you actually show more of your true self as well. And that makes you stand out, and it makes people really like you and want to continue being with you, because you're down to earth and you're real. Much better actually than a perfect polished video that you've taken 100 takes to get right. And with live delivery, it's actually easier to see where your students are missing a point, where they're not quite getting it, or they're getting stuck. Something's really difficult and they're not understanding. And it's then easier to pivot and to swap the order of things around, or to spend more time on a particular point to really move them towards that transformation, that solution that you're offering. Okay. And the greater connection that you have with your students when you do a live delivery, by live I mean on Zoom or another online way, but you can also, I mean, if things in your area have opened up, you can do a live delivery as like a talk or a conference or a workshop, but make sure you record it. Okay. It's much easier to obtain feedback about what you're giving them and testimonials to use as social proof in the marketing of each future iteration of your course. So you'll be able to say, I helped Sally go from A to B, and Tom was stuck feeling like C, and in 3 weeks, he felt like something else. Okay. They're the sorts of feedback and transformations you're looking at for social proof. And this is so much easier to obtain when you're seeing your students go through it live with you, and you can really help them on those stuck points. Yes, procrastination is my worst enemy. Yes. Okay. This strategy exactly is designed to help you move past that procrastination. Okay. And nothing's going to change if you don't take action, by the way. Okay. I can teach you this for an hour and a half, and if you don't take action on it, you've got your little worksheet there with all the lines ready for you to actually write down. But if you don't open your mouth and talk to your dog about this as soon as this call finishes, or you don't talk to your partner or your child or your neighbor about it, nothing's going to change. Okay. So I really encourage you to push past that resistance, because every time you say it out loud, it gets easier and you get clearer in your mind. What the heck is it actually that I'm trying to give them? Okay. So your action steps for today are on the handout, and they are to define your MVP quickly. Do you see those big big capital letters after that in parentheses. Quickly, what is the one problem that your ideal client faces? Okay, a focused problem. And remember to ground it in the everyday language that they will use and not high level kind of marketing speak jargon that no one really knows what it means. Okay, something that they can really relate to. You're going to list 5 ways that you can open your chat up to people, like your opening line. So when they say, what have you been up to? Or what's new? Or how's life going for you? That sort of thing. You're going to have a sentence that you start off with. And you're going to come up with 2 ways that you could briefly describe what this MVP is for people when you're in the chat phase. That's that first phase where you say it to everyone that you come across. You're going to commit to having at least 100 chats over the coming weeks. Okay, some people get this done and out there in a week. Okay, if you take action today, you fill out this handout with your answers. Don't perseverate over it. Just choose something, move forward, and then you can alter it if it doesn't seem right. Okay. Just about what you're doing. Okay. And I've given you 6 ways to find people today in this workshop. What's the price of your MVP? And then you're going to write out and practice your close, your sales close. Even if you try it out on the dog or the cat or the hamster, and you're going to set a date for your live delivery of your MVP. Because I always say that deadlines become lifelines for projects. Okay, so I really need deadlines. And if I've told someone I'm going to do something at a particular time on a certain date, I kind of got to do it for my self-integrity, don't I? Okay, whereas if it's just something that's going to happen at some point in the future, I can delay that and come up with any excuse after excuse not to actually do it. Okay, so I encourage you to fill out that handout today. Now I've got some time. Have I got some time? A little bit of time for questions. I'm sorry, that took me longer than I expected. I say this every week, for those of you who are regulars. I'm working on it, I promise. But I also want to go through things and not rush too much for you. For those who also are regulars, you will see that in the Facebook group, in the Experience of 5 Facebook group, I do come back and answer any questions that I haven't answered. I'll pop that link to the Facebook group in there if you are not already joining us. And I'd love you to post in that Facebook group that you are going to start chatterboxing right now, so that we can cheer you on, because that would really make my heart sing today. Okay, so if you have a question, raise your digital hand. That's if you go down to reactions, you can raise a digital hand, and I will try and go through the chat to see if there's any questions. But I would prefer, it's just a lot easier for me if you can unmute and speak out your question. Also, it helps you to clarify in your mind what it is, I find. So what have I got here? Another amazing training, Danielle. Thank you. Thank you, Maggie. Jean, beautiful. Thank you, Danielle. Stephanie, she's got to run. Okay, Stephanie, thank you. Have a great day. And I want to see that you're chatterboxing, okay? Particularly those regulars. Does anyone want to unmute and ask me a question? I don't bite. Catherine.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Danielle. Nice to meet you.
Nice
Sound
to
like
meet
you're a fellow Aussie as well.
Yeah, mate.
I just wanted to ask, I'm a teacher and expert in learning difficulties, dyslexia and ADHD. So I'm looking at creating a platform where I can help parents and teachers know how to help their kids. Is it better to do lots of little videos and just try and sell one of those and hope that people will get on board with the rest? Therefore, $20 to come and watch this sort of thing? Or is it better to kind of try and sell the big package of do all 10 of my courses and you'll know how to help your child kind of stuff?
I personally would start with one.
Me
Get
too.
them that little, because it seems more there must be, out of all of the problems that they have, there's probably one that stands out. Yes, they want to solve everything for their child, but there's one that you could really land for them that seems urgent enough for them to pay for. And I think then if you've got them in a conversation, you could determine from that what they are actually interested in, but getting them into that conversation would be your first strategy, I think, and starting with one idea. Okay.
Yeah. So I've already started on Facebook advertising, and I did online through Zoom. So I had 50 people interested and probably 10 people show up. But I think I was doing $15 for those.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't end up making much money out of it. So that's why I'm sort of stepping up into this. So I know families and most people are prepared to just go, oh yeah, 15, 20 bucks, 25 bucks, whatever. It's people just don't care anymore with cards.
Committed. Yeah.
But as soon as you get sort of over 50, 100, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Are you engaging in conversations with those people that say are interested or that do buy and don't engage?
I do occasional emails probably every few months because I hate being email bombed by people. So I don't too much, but I'm also, I've got 4 kids and I'm trying to do a whole lot of other things. So I don't have the time to pursue that yet. But I'm very early in my journey to change over to Experienceify.
Hey. Yeah, well, I encourage you to talk, really, because you will find out what was that resonated with them to make them say yes to that small thing, but it wasn't big enough for them to actually follow through. Okay. And then you can tweak your messaging, or you can iterate, change slightly your offer or what you're giving them, so that it is something that they really want to go through.
I think part of the problem was that I did have it on a Monday night, and so people just couldn't come in the end, or the kids, whatever happened. So I was hoping with Experienceify, it's going to always be online, so people can just log in the middle of the night if they want to.
Yeah, that's the advantage of making it evergreen, so that it's accessible whenever it suits them. But you do need to make sure first that it is something that they want. So definitely keep talking. Try things out. Don't be scared to experiment, because there's no set right or wrong answer in this, because everyone's so individual. Your market is so different to the person next to you there on the screen. So all you can do is try and ask the people who are interested or who don't turn up what it is for them, why they got stuck, or what would have made it easier for them. Because at the moment it seems like you might be guessing that Monday night is difficult for them. You don't know.
Yeah.
It might be, might not. Okay. So
everyone in my target group has got young kids. So it's like nighttime when you're trying to get into bed is always unpredictable. Plus I like to talk a lot. So I think they went to 2 hours.
Okay. Yeah.
So people kind of had to get off. But I did record it and I did send out the recording to everybody. Just one really quick question. I was trying to use the same video to target teachers and parents so that I wouldn't have to do like thousands of sort of videos. So I wanted the language to be accessible for parents and teachers and used across. Is that a smart idea, or should I just like target teachers and target parents separately so I can actually get that niche market better?
I think you really want to focus in specifically on each person so that they feel like you're speaking to them. Okay, because as soon as something is in a language that isn't quite right, or something they might not understand, they might not feel this is for me.
All right,
I'm not in the right place. And particularly if they're super busy, they've got lots of distractions with their kids and things like that, you need to be speaking to that exact type of person, okay, for it to really resonate and for them to go, oh my God, she gets me. Yeah. This is exactly the person. Because it's, you're not the only one teaching this, that, but you want to resonate with that person and you want them to know, like, and trust you. Okay. And the more grounded you can have your language directly at them, the more successful you're going to be. Okay. So yes, it's more effort, but in the end, you'll probably have more success because you're speaking to that exact person in their type of language.
Awesome. I'll just go so the next person can ask a question. Thanks.
Carolyn, you're next on my screen. I apologize if I've got this out of order, but I think you are next.
Hello, good
Hello.
evening. Thank you so much. That was really interesting. I feel like I'm one of those procrastinators when it comes to the course thing. I'm just like, "Oh, come on." I've got like ideas, and I have like one course which is literally kind of set. Like I've done it before, and it was like a 7-week program, and that one was like me doing a Q&A once a week, and then I did in the week it was like movement. So what I do is I guess I work with people with the movement of their body, but I'm kind of changing my niche a little bit. So I'm moving towards my course teaching Christian women how to step into their authentic selves. I've written it down somewhere that I've actually got a line. It sounds better, but and so when you were saying about making it smaller, breaking it down. So I don't know if I think about keeping the 7 weeks because I know I've kind of done it before. People did pay me. I think I did like I think 3 people were on the course who paid. So I know that that works. But
Fantastic.
then that was so I technically have like the Q&A from that course, so I could, I suppose, record those again because I know what content went into each conversation, and then put that up and just, I don't know, see how that works. Or the other side is what you've said about kind of like just doing one small aspect of it, which I didn't necessarily do in that 7-week course. But what I've done is I've done workshops in the past where I've delivered them for like another company, but they were really, people found them really impactful, where I help people to speak how they speak. So the way I would put it is like, you are what you speak. So negative self-talk, and it's really talking about the power of words and how you speak, and making sure that you are speaking positive, inspiring words and speaking life into your life as opposed to speaking dead words. So I guess my question is, if I was going to do that, it's an hour-long workshop, and then I would do like an exercise, which is like, okay, this is how you go away and create your own sort of template affirmations, as it were, that you would then put somewhere and you say them every day regularly. How would I mean, is that enough for a course? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like that's too little, if that makes sense.
Well, it's a workshop to start with.
Yeah.
And and I absolutely think that a lot of people would rather attend a 1-hour thing with a bit of follow-up and accountability rather than a 7-week thing. To start with, it just seems much more achievable to me. So you can definitely test that out. I think that's exactly the way to like focus in on one thing you can really help them with. Because if you position it as, I can really get you results in 1 hour. There's a switch that goes off in your brain. Okay. And you only need to give me 1 hour, and then I can follow up with you in accountability with some daily affirmations, and I can, do this. It will actually give you that trigger for them to know that they can do this, that they can achieve something, that there can be a shift, that they will then want to move into your 7-week course. Okay, for their second purchase or their third purchase or whatever it is. But it's giving them that quick result. Everyone would really rather pay for something that's quick rather than a long, drawn out, laborious process. That's what I think anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And then
you can keep that 7-week course, but it's not the first thing that you sell them necessarily. Okay.
And then last question, costing for something like that, because I have no idea.
So I would do some searching. I would do some Googling about what other people in your sort of niche market are charging for 1 day or 1 hour workshops or sessions like that. I'm thinking not under several $100s.
Well, you
But
mean,
you
oh,
need
for the
to-
7-week one, you mean?
No, for the 1 hour.
Sorry, how much did you say? Sorry, I think I misheard.
A couple of hundred. Where are you? You're in the UK, are you?
Yeah, we're in the UK.
I would do some research about it, but it's not going to be a cheap thing because you're offering them something that's going to change their whole way of being in 1 hour. Okay.
Okay.
And that's amazing. That's an amazing transformation.
Okay, cool.
But
Great.
test it
Thank
out.
you.
Test it out.
I appreciate it. I was like, wait,
Something.
so a couple of hundred. I was like, wait, sorry, what?
If you have a look at what people are paying for things, you might be shocked.
That's true. I mean,
Don't-
people
don't
pay out
undervalue-
200. They pay hundreds for like pair of trainers. So
I know. Okay. And you can say, you can even position it like that for would you rather a pair of trainers that's going to ruin in a couple of months, or would you rather fix your whole life, you know, like the way you talk to yourself and the voice you're hearing, or whatever your
Okay.
language is.
Yeah.
But you really position it as something that is going to change their life and help them, and it's going to be quick, okay, because you're the expert and you've experienced this, okay. And once you don't have to fill a, you know, Carnegie Hall on your first iteration of this. You know, you're just wanting to work with a few people to validate this, and then you can tweak your process if you need to. You may be lucky and you may get like amazing results on the first go, but if you use that feedback and that way of working one-on-one or one to small group with people, you can improve this, and then eventually it can be something that you video and you put on Evergreen, and it can help people, and you can lower the price then because they're not getting that one-on-one with you, that personalized touch. Okay, but to work with an expert for an hour to have a transformation is not an insignificant thing. Okay, but you've got to believe that.
Thank
So
you.
do your research, and also I want you to talk to your pet about, say out loud that statement that you said you had written down somewhere, so you can practice it, or talk to the plant, whatever. You said at the beginning you had a statement that you had written down. Practice it. Okay, do that today. All right. Eve, am I saying that right?
Hello. Thank
Hello.
you. Yeah, I'm one of those people who also tends to be uncertain of my work type of thing, and because of the fact that a lot of times most of the people that are in my social circle tend to be more of the low income people, so I don't want to scare anybody off type of thing, or feel bad if, you know, somebody would benefit but can't afford it. So what I've kind of contemplated is having some coupons available that would bring it to, you know, an affordable thing where there still at least have some sort of funds in the game, even if it's only $5, just so that there's a value aspect there to help them, you know, take it seriously. And that, but I was just wondering if that is reasonable, and also how one can really gauge, you know, the value of what they're bringing to a course. I have a few course things that are in process of developing, and the one that I have been focused on, I feel like it may be more a little bit larger price point than maybe some can afford. So how do I aim my course at a place where I can actually deliver results that people will be happy with at a price that they feel is reasonable? Because that's where it tends to be a key thing. I believe the one I'm actually going to do first is actually going to be the self-care, using creating as a form of self-care. And that would be for people who are either writers or artists who have such busy schedules that they just can't seem to find the time. And so using my micro creation option, which is like a 5 to 15 minute a day option, to help to reconnect to the creating aspects of their lives, because many people are like, I love to do art, I love to write, but I just don't have the time, and so I don't do any of it. And when I was in law school, that was one of those things where creating was my lifeline, but I had no time to do it. And so I didn't. So that's kind of where I'm going with. But is self-care one of those things where people won't pay that much to engage in because, well, I got a lot more other priorities?
Yeah, exactly. And many of us will put everyone else before our own needs, and all the other things in our lives get put first, and we are last on the list, if we even appear at all on that to-do list. So I know exactly what you're talking about. What you can kind of think about is that you might be really called to helping a group of people who might not be able to afford your services or pay a lot of money for what you're offering. I would encourage you to think, particularly if you've been to law school and there might be other people in your circle or people that you have known in the past, that you could help another group who are more financially stable, who are more willing to solve their problems by paying someone else to do that, to give them a quick result and not have to do it themselves, in order to fund helping the other people. And a lot of entrepreneurs do that with higher ticket offers that will then go to funding those things that they can help at a more affordable price for another group. So I encourage you to think about that, and that you could start chatterboxing with a group who does have money and it's willing to pay for a solution to help you offer scholarships or even, sponsorship of a particular product or course for those who really need your services and can't afford them. But by undervalue, I like the idea of a coupon so that you're keeping the price there so that they see the value of it, rather than just saying it's only a $5 course, or something like on Udemy, where the prices are very, very low and the completion rates on those courses are minuscule. Because if people haven't invested or even sometimes sacrificed paying for something else in order to get this solution, they don't have that skin in the game. It's not a priority for them. I would, encourage you to think a little bit about, what else it might seem like they don't have a lot of money, but what could you help them with that they would be willing to pay for? Like something that's really front of mind and that's something that they need to solve. Okay, so that you're not undervaluing yourself, because you can do it for a little while. You can be very charitable and empathetic with your market, but if you're continually selling things or providing services for not much money, you'll burn out. Okay, and you won't be able to help them as much as you could if you're getting properly compensated for your time and effort and expertise. So have I given you anything to kind of spark some ideas there?
Oh, definitely. And more importantly, you've kind of helped to confirm kind of where I was at with things on that point, because of the fact that it's been one of those bit of a journey type of thing. So that has helped to clarify that, that the, path of, figuring out what balance to, and that, because obviously one thing that is easy to overlook is we have expenses that go into making these courses and things like that. And so you don't want to be draining yourself of your resources instead of helping people.
No, because you can't sustain that. Because even charities need people to fund them, don't they? Okay, so think of it that way. And what you're doing is marvelous, and just start chatting today and ask these people, if they could solve one thing right now, what is it? What's the biggest problem that or what's the most pressing problem that they have, and try and see if that's something that you could help them with. Okay, because that's something that they are going to be willing to pay. And even if it's a small amount, they'll be willing to show up, give you the feedback that you're looking for so that you can actually make it a viable product, and get those testimonials, that social proof, so that you can say, hey, I helped Maggie do this, and she went from this to that. Or, Bernadine was in this situation and, in 2 weeks, everything had changed for her in this aspect. Okay. You don't have to fix their entire life, but just one focused problem can be really transformative for people. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anyone else have a question? I haven't been looking at the chat, but I think it's probably time to wrap up. I've already gone over time. Thank you so much for everyone. This recording will be in the Help Center and on YouTube. If you're not following us on or not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do that. Oh, I forgot to give the survey form. I'll give it here, and then please give me some feedback. See, I'm following my own advice here, helping to iterate this this workshop to serve you better. So I would love you to, even if you have completed this survey previously, do it for this workshop, please. Maggie, how about the scripts? Do we have them? Scripts are.
Yeah,
Didn't
I
tell
thought
you?
you said you were going to give us some sales scripts. Is it what you've already put
That's
into
what
the Google Docs?
That's what I there's no, the Google Doc is what you prompts for you to fill out. What the scripts that I did were in what I spoke. So if you
Okay.
want to go back and I'll see if I can pick those out and put them in the Facebook post.
Okay.
But the recording, you'll be able to write them down. Oh, there was one in, hang on, there was a script, one script about why this why joining for this first MVP is more valuable to them. Did that post? Oh, sorry, I just posted the survey again. Bear with me. Progress, not perfection. This is real life. Okay, copy, paste. There it is. Okay, that's a script for why your MVP, this first iteration, when you're going to deliver it live, is even more valuable than future versions of your course, so that people will be, see that value in it, because it's going to be personalized to them. They're going to get more of your time and attention, and it's going to be tailored to their specific issues and questions. Okay. And I will, in the Facebook group, I'll endeavor to put some of the other like conversation starters in there for you.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Have a great evening, day, morning, whatever, night, whatever it is for you in your neck of the woods. And I will see you next week. We have open office hours, Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific. And then the week after that, Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific, is advanced gamification. Okay, Experientify 202, advanced gamification. So I look forward to seeing you at both of those, and go forth. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Make sure you save the chat if you want it. The three little dots at the bottom of the chat window, on the top right of the chat window, allow you to save the chat if you would like it.
3 little dots, merged windows. All right.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
No chat. Got it. See you, Maggie. Bye.
Bye.